We like to think that we know our own homes like the back of our hands, but sometimes there can be a hidden place that you had no idea about. You might just inspect the walls of your house a little more carefully after you see these secret hidden places people found in their homes, especially since some of them held hidden valuables. One thing we would never want to keep hidden is that subscribe button. Make sure you press it so you don't miss out on new videos from the richest. Painting. Brothers Don Jr. and Dave Trachty inherited a house when their father passed away. While real estate is always a nice thing to have, this house held a secret that ended up being incredibly valuable. You see, their father, Don Trachty, had gone through a contentious divorce from the boy's mother some years ago. When he knew that his marriage was failing, he decided to do whatever was necessary to keep his prized possession from ending up in the hands of his soon-to-be ex-wife. In 1960, he had spent $900 on a Norman Rockwell painting called Breaking Home Ties. He painstakingly recreated the painting and presented the duplicate to the public, hiding the real one away. One day, his sons noticed that a portion of the wall of their new home looked peculiar and discovered that it was a fake wall hiding a secret room. In that room, their father had stashed the original painting. Their father's plan had worked, and he was able to pass down his beloved painting to his two sons, who promptly sold it at auction. Hey, fatherly love doesn't pay the bills. It sold for an astonishing $15.4 million, a record-breaking price for a Rockwell painting. Mosque. Most apartments are pretty simple and straightforward when it comes to their layout, and while we may find some unpleasant surprises if the previous tenant didn't clean thoroughly, secret rooms aren't something we expect to find, especially since our landlords would have probably charged us more for them. However, a couple of journalists, Giuseppe Cadilli and Valeria Giarrusso, bought an apartment near the Royal Palace of Palermo in Rome. Like so many of us, they meant to do renovations, but they kept getting put off for about 8 years. When they finally got around to it, they noticed that some of the plaster on a certain wall had become moist. When Cadilli began to clean the plaster off, he realized that there was Arabic writing underneath it. The couple was startled and excited by their discovery and contacted a restoration expert to find out what was going on. It turns out that this entire room was a secret place hiding right in plain sight. It was actually a mosque built by the first owner of the apartment. The exquisitely decorated walls were covered in gold and silver calligraphy. This discovery was the first of its time, as a mosque built inside a private dwelling like this had never before been seen in Sicily. Toxic mold. While some secret rooms are filled with expensive treasures or historical significance, others are hiding less than pleasant surprises. Just ask Jason and Carrie Brown, who purchased a foreclosed home in Greenville, South Carolina for $75,000. That may seem like a bargain price, but sometimes you get what you pay for. When inspecting their new house, they found a secret corridor hidden behind a bookshelf. Instead of leading to Narnia or at least a room full of treasure, they found only a note from the previous homeowner. The front of the note read simply, "You found it." Undoubtedly, the new homeowners were curious and excited when they opened the note, but their excitement quickly turned to panic. The note explained that the house was infested with a serious black mold problem which had driven the previous owners away after it had begun making their children sick. They even included an email address so the Browns could contact them and verify the story. After having the house tested, it turned out that the previous owners were telling the truth about the mold. They had notified their mortgage lender about the issue, but when they received no answer, defaulted on the mortgage and moved. But thankfully, the warning note prevented the Browns from getting sick, and they are currently taking action against the realtor that sold them the property. The Darwin House. Having a secret place hidden in your house is not only a great place to stash valuables, but it can also help you pull one heck of a scam, if you're into that sort of thing. Life insurance payouts can be quite hefty, but unfortunately, you won't be able to collect on your own. That's how they get you, unless you decide to pull off an insurance scam like John and Ann Darwin. In 2002, Ann claimed that she had lost her husband in a canoe accident and collected hundreds of thousands of dollars from his life insurance. The only problem was that her husband was very much alive, which became apparent when the two were photographed together in Panama in 2007. How had he hidden himself for so long? Before fleeing to Panama, the Darwins had owned multiple apartments, so they simply built a secret passageway from their bedroom to one of the apartments. It was later discovered that they had lived this way for over a year, with John going back and forth between his wife's apartment and his own secret place. The pair was sentenced to 6 years in prison for their crimes. Sessions House. Now this is what we're talking about, a classic secret room story with a ghostly twist. It's even located on a street that is associated with so many nightmares, Elm Street. Known as the Sessions House, it's now located on the campus of Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. It was built in 1710 by Captain John Hunt, who was more than a little concerned about the neighboring Native Americans. He decided to build an early version of a panic room just in case his house was invaded by Native Americans. A staircase was designed to be a secret passageway, allowing the family to hide in case they came under attack. However, Hunt's granddaughter, Lucy, was rumored to use the secret passageway for a very different reason. It said that she used the passageway for clandestine meetups with Johnny Burgoyne, a redcoat held captive there during the Revolutionary War. Since the pair have long since passed, it's said that their ghosts wander the halls of Sessions House looking for one another. For new residents of the house, Halloween has a spooky tradition. The lights are turned off and they have 20 minutes in which to find the secret passageways. It's trivia time! We've provided you some examples of secret places that are from pretty modern areas, but in truth, people have been constructing hidden rooms since ancient times. Even the ancient Egyptians added secret passages to their pyramids. For what purpose did they do this? Keep watching for the answer. The Winchester Mystery House. No list of secret hidden places would be complete without the addition of the Winchester Mystery House. And no, sadly this house has nothing to do with the show Supernatural, although many people do believe that something actually supernatural had a hand in its creation. In 1881, Sarah Winchester was a widow who had lost both her husband and infant daughter but had inherited a lot of money. Much of this wealth came from the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, which sold firearms. In her grief, Sarah visited a medium who claimed that the ghostly spirits of those who died because of the firearms would relentlessly haunt her. The medium urged her to travel west, so she headed for California. Once she was there, she used her fortune to create this insanely complicated and confusing home. It's filled with doors that open into walls, twisting hallways, and of course, secret passages, all meant to confuse the ghosts that were following her. Out of all the bathrooms, only one worked properly and the rest were decoys meant to fool ghosts. Wait, what? Was Moaning Myrtle a big concern for her or something? It's thought that even now there are still secret rooms that have yet to be discovered. In fact, one was found as recently as 2016. Kitchen. Depending on how much you love to cook, or eat for that matter, the kitchen might be one of the most important rooms in your house. So it seems insane that someone could actually manage to lose track of an entire kitchen. But we suppose when you are living in an enormous mansion, these things are bound to happen. When Archie Graham Palmer was growing up in his home in Kevin Park near Wrexham, his parents preferred to use what is now known to be a butler's kitchen. The mansion, built in the 1800s, had the basement blocked off at the end of World War II. When Graham Palmer inherited the house, he decided to finally check out the old basement and was startled to find a secret kitchen hiding down there. It looks like something straight out of Downton Abbey. It's thought that the kitchen was built in 1830 when the house would have been bustling with servants who could have made use of it. During World War II, the kitchen was used to cook for people assisting with the war effort, but for some reason was sealed off afterwards. Treasure trove. Okay, so maybe homeowner Ricardo Bush didn't find chests full of gold bullion or gemstones in his secret room, but what he did find is something it's hard to put a price on. While renovating his Detroit, Michigan home, he discovered a fake wall that was hiding a secret room. Inside the room, he found 2 large trunks inscribed with the name Daniel Kozak. Inside were photographs, letters, and other small mementos that had clearly belonged to a family. These items were dated back to 1925, and Bush was curious about who they had belonged to. He took his story to local news stations and was able to meet up with 70-year-old Kathy Nedeli Zakshevsky. It turned out that her father, Mike Nedeliz, was the stepson of Daniel Kozak, whose name was on the steam trunks. She was extremely grateful to Bush for finding and returning an important part of her family's history. Although many of her grandfather's letters are in Russian, she looks forward to having them translated and learning more about him. Chapel. Couple Pat and Diana Farla have a classic story about what happens when a celebration gets out of hand. You start laughing, have a couple of drinks, and then end up finding a hidden chapel underneath your house. The Farlas were having a Good Friday celebration when they began discussing a metal grid on one of the walls of the house. They decided that now was as good of a time as any to investigate, so they pulled the grid off the wall. An eerie cellar which resembles a small chapel was revealed to be hidden behind the wall. It even contains a cross and what appears to be pews. There was also a chest containing newspapers and bottles dating back to the 1930s. They also discovered some stairs that lead to a cupboard located in the dining room. Historical experts aren't sure what to make of it. The chapel could have been a safe space for nonconformist religious groups, or it could have been intended for use as a bunker during World War II. The Tiled Room. Carl Toms got quite the shock when he was renovating his 120-year-old home. When working on some plumbing in the basement, one of his friends noticed that a pipe ran into a hidden room with tiled walls. Desperate to find out how to gain entry, they found a hidden staircase underneath the floorboards in Tom's bedroom. After prying up the floorboards and climbing down the hidden staircase, Toms found himself standing in a secret room. Since the house is only 886 square feet, it's amazing that there was any space unaccounted for. He believes that the room may have had something to do with bootlegging during Prohibition and that the bedroom floor may have once had a trapdoor. It appears that the room was since intentionally walled off from the rest of the basement, but it's difficult to tell exactly when this happened. Toms and his family had been living in the house for 2 years when he made this discovery, and he claims he hopes to learn more about the history of this unique hidden room. The ancient Egyptians made a lot of impressive things, including secret passageways in pyramids. They did this in order to prevent grave robbers from making off with the valuables contained in the tomb. The entrances were frequently found behind statues, and there were also hidden traps as well. From hidden staircases under floorboards to rooms hidden behind bookshelves, what secret addition would you most want to make to your house? Tell us about it in the comments. It would be nice to have a secret room for storing valuables or just hiding out when your in-laws come to visit. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time.